and the other sub Wundle at AD carry, and of course Troll the Noob rounding it out as support, and going straight into the draft.
Oh, sorry, got the Bard band coming out first, quickly followed out by an Ashe and a Graves.
Yeah, it's pretty standard bans all around, in the sense that Ashe is considered definitely one of the most strong AD carries right now with her utility. Aphelios is still in that conversation as one of the strongest, and I know Glacial Rising Phoenix loves to pick it. We do see, Bard is a pretty big playmaking support. Just keeping that out of the hands of Troll the Noob is a good thing for Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of metrics on Games in My Hand, so we're not entirely sure what his jungle preferences are, but this Zac will be targeted at the jungle, so perhaps Glacial Rising Phoenix doing the research and knowing a bit of what he likes to play.
Yeah, and we see an Olaf band around it out, so we do have 3 jungle bands coming in, and 2 of them are the most, I would say, high priority, where you have the Graves and the Olaf, but we still have some classic tanks in there like Sedge, Trundle, so it shouldn't be too much of a pinch on these junglers' pools this game.
Speaking of pinches, Ezreal, who is incredibly good at getting out of pinches, is going to be picked up for Glacial Rising Phoenix, looking at Epic Fail Guy there.
And because we see an Ezreal pick over something like an Aphelios, I do believe he has chosen Aphelios earlier on in the season over Ezreal, so maybe that's kind of telling of what they want to draft for this game if they don't think they're going to have much peel for their AD carry, or they just want him to be a little more self-sustaining. We do see the Aatrox for that guy, which is one of his more comfort champions, his blind pick top laners.
Jinx being the counter pick here for Wundle, whose champion pool is also a bit unknown to us here in the studio, so going to be curious to see how he performs on that, with the Morgana Hover coming off for Glacial Rising Phoenix. Now switch to a Karma Hover.
Yeah, and the Jinx is a really strange pick. If anybody got to see Challengers Uprising, there's a bot lane duo that loves playing Jinx Sona up there, and they actually were able to pull off a reverse sweep just by playing it. But it's a very passive lane. It doesn't really punish much in lane. It very much relies on that mid game, that late game scaling, where Sona becomes really strong with the Jinx. Because Sona Jinx is seen as a bot lane that can 2v8 games. But we do see a Thresh rounding it out, which is another playmaking support for Troll the Noob. So we'll have to see what he's able to do on the map, but it's going to be hard to roam when he has a Jinx in the bot lane.
Yeah, Ornn, the first ban of our second round, followed by Lux. Targeting like a mid lane Lux, something Ishan has played in the past.
Yeah, and Lux mid is a very niche pick. So it's a good ban because you don't get to see it too much, and it's very safe. And right now it can counter the comp that they kind of have building up, because while Ezreal, as you mentioned, is very good at getting away, if he gets binded, he's gonna get one shot without QSS.
J4 being the last of the bans, targeting the jungle, which of Trigger Happy, something that hasn't been selected yet, keeping these the new junglers pick pretty close to the chest, as we will actually have an answer for that in the Lee Sin. I don't think we touched on it, but there was also a Jace picked up for the probably top laner of Glacial Rising Phoenix, Joey Desu.
Yeah, well, especially now with the Morgana Hover, it's definitely looking like a Jace top, with the potential for a Karma or Mork mid, but we actually see a Gangplank. So it's still kind of a flex. I don't know if either one of these have played Gangplank in the past. Do you know? Do you have any idea or insight where you think that Gangplank's gonna go, or?
That is probably going top lane.
I'd imagine.
I think. Yeah, looks like Gangplank top lane, Karthus jungle, J support, as a Carbon bot.
It's funny you said Jace support, but yes, it would be. I get you're thinking with the Jace mid.
Jace
and
mid.
Gangplank is a really good pick into Atrox normally. But one of the things we do see this game is, like you were saying with the Karthus jungle, the scary thing about Karthus jungle is he can get hard out-pressured by Lee Sin early game. And if the Thresh is able to leave lane and the Jinx not die, we could see some really big advantages pile up for Trigger Happy early on in the game.
Yeah. Of note, though, we will be having a Malphite mid coming out of Trigger Happy today.
Yeah, and it'll be cool to see if it's actually, full AP or if it goes tank, because there is 3 AD threats on the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix, but they are also all squishy. So it'll be interesting to see what path he takes, because he'd be the only AP damage for his team right now.
And given that it's Ishan, he typically likes to play some pretty high damage champions. I imagine it will be full AP Malphite, looking for the one shot, execute, blow your whole team up build.
Yeah, and going into this, I'm looking at the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix, and they definitely, it almost feels disrespectful with their draft, because they're basically saying we're going to go to 30 minutes and we're going to win because we made it to 30 minutes, because we have a low pressure early game jungler, we have a weak top side, and we have Ezreal Karma, which is kind of a safe bot lane. So Jace is really that only early game strength we see coming out from them. So we'll have to see if Trigger Happy is able to punish with their Atrox and their Lee Sin early game with, playing around Malphite ults in that mid game fights.
Yeah, definitely looking at Trollanoop here to try to make things happen down in the bot lane. Jinx capable of putting out a fair chunk of damage. Can't really weave her spells in with her auto attack, so it's going to be mostly auto attack based damage, of course. But so hopefully Trollanoop can land some really solid hooks onto this Karma, chunk it down, and pick up some kills.
Yeah,
but I 100% agree with you on your assessment of Glacial Rising Phoenix. I'm going to make it to 30 minutes and win because I made it to 30 minutes comp.
Yeah, and to take just a step back real quick from this game and look at the big playoff picture, it is going to be a very important game for Trigger Happy, because after this they do play NG Blossom, and then they do have a tough game against Julia Duck before rounding it out against Ape vs Strong. So this is one of those bubble games where if they either pick up a win here or against Julia Duck, they're really set to make playoffs.
Yeah, Glacial Rising Phoenix looking pretty well set to start. Don't really think they have a whole lot to lose here. So,
yeah, Glacial Rising Phoenix, they do have to play the two best teams left in the league. Wow. Oh, not Iron Dragons. Two of the three best teams where they have Kisses for Cats and NG Blossom, but they also have huge minion difference. And as long as they're able to pick up, one win, and even without a win, I think they're still pretty close. But as long as they can pick up one win in these next 4 games, they'll be fine for playoffs.
Indeed. Now, one thing we didn't really touch on particularly hard is for Trigger Happy, we have 2 new players. The captain for Trigger Happy actually took a very interesting choice this week and benched himself and his ADC.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how the new jungle plus AD carry changes, because especially with this comp, the jungler is going to be the key focal point for this early game, and the Jinx is definitely their damage late game. They don't really have, like a Cassiopeia or some huge scaling option in the mid lane. So it definitely feels like these new players are getting thrown right into the fire with a lot of the pressure on them this game.
Well, as we hit the loading screen, we'll have to see how this all plays out. This is League of Legends, which means no matter what we say and what we decide, the game isn't decided until the Nexus goes boom. And that's up for our players to actually perform. So,
well said. It is. We do have the Ignite Comet Malphite, so he's going to be going for that poke, that kill pressure in lane against the Jace. The exhaust on the Karma is going to be nice to see. Maybe exhausting if you can actually exhaust Malphite when he's mid ult in his air to reduce the damage, or exhausting the Aatrox or Lee Sin that are diving you. Your Ezreal might help a little bit. While we do see more of that kill pressure, double ignite coming out from mid and support on the side of Trigger Happy, definitely looking to make the plays early mid game.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game, I think. Definitely the onus stands on the side of Trigger Happy to make something happen during this early game, because I do not think they will win the late game.
No, I definitely don't think they have the easiest chance at winning late game. But not to take anything away from them, I think with a Malphite, a good Malphite R, and Jinx high damage in late game, and even a good Aatrox flank, they can definitely win the game. Lee Sin's still one of those junglers where one kick can change the whole game, so we'll have to see. I think it's definitely easier as the game goes on for Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Interesting start coming out of Trigger Happy here. Maybe looking for an invade, something that is near and dear to my heart, and I hope they do it. Skiz will spot it out and make a little bit of a movement. Hook lands, though. Skiz taking a lot of damage. Gonna flash out, but it's gonna be followed up by a flash from Ishan. First blood going out. Ishan picking up that kill and burning his flash to do so, but that's gonna help him in lane as he gets the extra gold in.
Yeah, we do see the Ishan burning his flash, but Jace also did, so it's a 1-for-1 in flashes. He gets the first blood, so he's going to get that extra Doran's item. He also has his ignite up still, and we saw a really nice play coming out of Troll Danube with the flash hook and the ignite. So we'll have to see how this, if any junglers show up mid lane, because Jace not having flash is definitely scary against this Lee Sin. And we do see both junglers starting blue buff, so they are probably just going to path towards the top side. One's going to path top, Karthus is just going to full clear down to his bot side. We'll have to see if Lee Sin decides to invade around any of his lanes who might get prio. So we just see some trading going out. Top lane's one of the big lanes to watch for me, because I do think Gangplank just hard outscales in the top lane, and if he's able to get a good wave state and just farm up for a while, it's going to be really hard for the side of Trigger Happy to do much against this Gangplank.
Indeed. Now that being said, that guy was our 1v1 champion for the All-Star event, so let's hope he can bring that same performance onto the Rift today. He's currently getting chunked out pretty aggressively, though.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how that top lane state ends up going out, but I will say the wave is definitely looking good for Joey. I think he definitely wants to try to hold a freeze near his tower and just make it hard for Lee Sin to gank him. The big thing is we'll have to see if Lee Sin goes up there to try to tower dive, but we do see him moving in potentially for a gank mid lane on the flashless Jace.
Yeah, now he will be standing on a ward, so not super excited for his chances of this gank being successful.
And he's wasting a lot of time standing on that ward. As we see, if you take a quick peek at Karthus, he actually was able to full clear his entire jungle, whereas Games still has 2 camps up on his side.
Yeah, Game's gonna take the opportunity to take Scuttle instead. Wasting a good 30-40 seconds on that gank, it's gonna hurt his feelings.
Yeah, it is gonna indeed hurt his feelings. The big thing here is this wave being under his tower. Top lane does make it hard for this Lee Sin to gank him right now, and we know the Lee Sin is top side, so he really shouldn't be walking up in this lane and giving Lee Sin any reason to gank.
But he will go for the flash, and the kill will go off. Joey Desu, despite being at the risk of a gank, stepping up and getting the kill anyway. That just adds insult to injury, as Games in my hand has now wasted a lot of time and accomplished nothing while simultaneously watching his laners die, or his laner die.
Yeah, and we see that's just really knowing the limits of your champion there, knowing how much the true damage burn will do, knowing he can finish it off, getting that movement speed from the passive auto to kind of walk away. And we did see actually a good punish coming out of Duddy Brains in the Karthus, because he knows the Lee Sin still topside. He goes in, takes that second spawn of Gromp away from Lee Sin, and Lee Sin's really going to be hurting for XP.
And Game was going for another gank here that will fall short. All in all, he's playing very gank heavy, and it does not seem to be working in his favor.
Yeah, I would say right now he's looking a little desperate. He goes back to push mid lane, helps him get a little bit of XP, but Jace just TPs back in and just decides, hey, I can 1v2 you guys.
Yeah. Jace not seeming particularly concerned. Skiz feeling brave, and for good reason, because it would appear that that was most certainly the case.
Yeah, and we haven't seen the Lee Sin able to do too much here in the early stages. Karthus is about 3 camps away from level 6, and when that happens, we'll see a very drastic shift in the map where teams really either going to have to start respecting the Karthus are, or we're going to see some 2v2s or 1v1s that end up being decided by the Karthus ult. So the dragon is the objective on the map right now, and it's just its first ocean, so that's one of the weaker dragons by itself to have. But we do see with the bot lane prio kind of in the state of Glacial Rising Phoenix, and with how the jungle's been, we might see an early attempt at the dragon. I wouldn't like it too much because I don't want Karthus to give away his lead that he has in XP for an early game Ocean Dragon, but it would feel nice for his laners to have the extra sustain.
Yeah, Ocean Dragon is absolutely monstrous. Though it being first dragon means that we don't have to worry about it being the dragon soul for the game.
Yeah, without it being the dragon soul, we might get to see the Cloud Soul for Karthus just have a whole bunch of old CDR. We might see Infernal Soul, Karthus Soul. We do see a good hook in the bot lane.
Indeed, lots of damage going on. Xylanta's super low here. However, the fight will have to separate, and the players
we see a Malphite roam.
Okay. So the Malphite comes into the back line and gets his ult kill like he's looking for, and that's a dead karma.
And Ezreal might be dead here as well.
Yeah, lots of champions hovering down along this bot side tower. Looks like Ezreal will be able to get away scot-free, and a couple plates will go to the pockets of Trigger Happy here down in the bot lane. They should manage to get 2 plates here. No,
maybe, but we do see Lee Sin on Dragon as well.
Yeah.
And this is a really good overall play for the side of Trigger Happy. We did want them to start making some more plays in this early to mid game, so it's good to see that they were able to get some kills on the board, especially for their Malphite and their Lee Sin. And like you were saying about Ashawn, he definitely is going to go for this more AP heavy build, as we saw the Hextech Revolver actually coming out first item, so probably just a proto belt for him to give him a little bit of health as well.
Indeed. New objective on the map is going to be Rift Herald. We'll have to see how the players position themselves around this. Top priority most certainly seems to be in the favor of Joey Desu here.
Yeah, the top priority definitely looks to be in the favor of Joey Desu. With, like you were saying with the Rift Herald, Malphite ult is coming back up off cooldown, so it's going to be very important to either have good vision up there for Joey Desu, or Skiz to just know where Malphite is and kind of keep control of the Malphite in the lane. Because Joey Desu is pushing, and he might even be strong enough to 1v2 right now, but he's not strong enough to 1v3, and he doesn't want to be caught overextending and then dying and giving over Rift. So as long as they're able to keep up good vision up there, there shouldn't be much pressure for Trigger Happy to take this first Rift Herald.
Speaking of pressure, that guy putting down a lot of pressure up at the top lane. Gonna flash, but Skiz is here as well, and it's gonna flash in return. That guy now the new one in danger here. Ezreal coming up, and it will fall short. Skiz picking up a very free kill here. Gonna use his flash for all the effort, but he will get the extra gold in his pocket. Oh,
and
but a massive Jinx ult from across the map will pick up the kill. That is incredibly well done by Wondil. I don't know if that was skill or luck, but it doesn't really matter because in the end it still resulted in a kill.
Yeah, and it definitely will help save a little bit of tilt, you know? It's always unfortunate as a top laner when you feel like you're winning a 1v1 and the enemy mid laner shows up and kills you. So at least he kind of gets a little bit back of that return where his Jinx is able to snipe out the enemy top laners. And we just see both top laners die.
Oh, speaking of sniping out, Ishan flash ult and blew up the mid laner of Glacial Rising Phoenix. That's that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage, and it's actually a really good play from the side of Eshan just because he knows that Skiz doesn't have flash. So he knows that there's no way for the Jace to react and dodge. And we do see him just tower diving Karthus a little bit.
Yeah, game's in my hand. Eating a little bit of damage here. Oh, the Karthus ult is up. It will actually result in a kill for a kill. And a Dark Harvest stack.
Greedy. Yeah, Dark Harvest stack for the side of Karthus. There's a little bit of greed from the side of Games in my hand. I believe he could have just flashed away from the tower and he wouldn't have died because he wouldn't have taken so many tower shots there, but he was trying to be a little greedy and hold on to his flash. But as this game hits just past the 10-minute mark, we do see it's only about a 300 gold lead, despite the 2-kill lead. And we see another 1v1 with the Aatrox ult coming out in the top lane. Nothing really comes from it this time, however. So we do see Shoulder Dube actually making a roam mid here, and we know there's no flash on Skiz, so we see a good flash hook coming out. And that's just a dead Jace again. And the early game pressure they were hoping to get from the Jace and the early game damage is really starting to struggle here, as it's been killed 3 times already. Jace still does have a CS lead, but he's gonna find himself not doing too much damage here in the beginning of this game. And we do see Lee Sin up here actually taking the Rift Herald with all this pressure that's been happening towards the mid laner of Glacial Rising Phoenix. Trigger Happy is able to come up and take the Rift Herald. And now we'll be able to see if they can get some plates for their mid laner and break open the mid tower, or if they choose to just go top lane here and try to funnel some more gold into their Aatrox. We do also see them moving down for the dragon, so they're just cleaning up all the objectives on the map right now. Really using this mid priority they have and the good wave state of bot lane to just roam up and take a dragon. As Karthus is continuing to scale. And we do see it's going to be an Infernal Soul this game, which, depending on how the dragons fall, if Glacial Rising Phoenix is able to get that Infernal Soul, it's going to be really bad for the side of Trigger Happy. As 4 Infernals on the Karthus is not going to be pleasant. We'll see the Rift Herald being dropped bot lane as Trigger Happy is going to use the early game pressure they have with Rift. They're going to take the first tower bottom. Jinx should be able to help get it a charge on the second tower here. As we once again see Malphite engaging on the flashless Jace here, and they're really punishing this Jace for flashing topside. With a good hook coming out on the Karthus as well, and we'll just see Karthus fall. And Jace should end up dying as well as he walks away into the topside jungle. He might end up executing, but we do see a good ward hop coming out. And they're going to be able to take... Ooh, good blast cone play, actually. He might just get executed here. That's well played from the side of Skiz. Kind of wasted some time. Managed to get out and execute to the top tower. And now as we hit that 15-minute mark, that gold lead that was only 300 for Trigger Happy is now about 3,000 gold. And we see this AP Malphite mid is really far ahead here. And what this means overall is that the Jinx bot lane that's got 145 CS that's been farming, when she hits this 2-item spike and they start hitting that 20-minute mark, having the Malphite be the big front line, the big focus of the other team is going to allow her to get a bunch of free damage off of these fights. And we might see the Jinx just out of nowhere get a quadra kill in a team fight. So the next big objective coming up on the map isn't for about 2 minutes, so we'll have to see how Trigger Happy kind of sets up the vision around this bot side, if they want to go for a dragon play, or if they start making moves towards this top side to try to break open the top tier 1 as well. And so right now the lane assignments are just both bot lanes sitting in mid. As with that bot tier 1 tower cracked open, we do see the bot lane going mid to try to get that tower. I do think it would have been much better to actually send the bot lane top here with no objectives on the map, but we do see an engagement coming out on the Jinx. And we see Lee Sin try to predict the Ezreal E while Malphite just kind of one-shots him with the R. And that's a good play overall coming out from Trigger Happy here. As we do see them making moves towards this mid tower, finally trying to get this tier 1 tower dropped. They should be able to here. And Joey Desu is going to have to be careful at this top tier 1 tower that he's getting low at, because that's looking like the next objective Trigger Happy is going to want to go towards. So we might see Lee Sin with his flash ult to come up here and just tower dive this gangplank if he doesn't get out of here soon. Yep, and we do see Gangplank not really reading the situation, not leaving, so we'll see a flash kick come out. A good flash from the side of GP, but he will eventually die to that guy, and we'll just see him die for his overstay in the top tier 1 tower. And we'll have to see if they are able to actually take this tower down, because Karthus is now up here to hold the wave.
Well, to apologize, some technical difficulties with Monochrome is going to be unable to rejoin the rest of this cast, but I should be able to step in here and take his position.
Oh, much appreciated, my man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we see some pings now coming on to this Drake. For Trigger Happy, is there would be a third Drake for them, which would be put them in a pretty good position to pick up the soul in the next several minutes.
Yeah, and if they get this third Drake, it's really going to start snowballing for them. Because, you know, four Infernals for Karthus is great and all, but once you get to that soul point, it starts putting a lot of pressure on the other team, because now when Dragon and Baron are up at the same time, you're making the enemy team choose, you know, do they just give up Dragon Soul? And we see a huge Malphite ult actually coming out.
Yeah, big Malphite ult, but not going to end up taking anybody down. Land is really low though, Troll the Noob, going to get sniped out there by the Arcane, or Ezreal Ultimate rather. Joey Desu super low, but the 1DL going to be taken down.
And we see Aatrox.
Aatrox coming over the wall. So many members low on this side of Glacial Rising Phoenix, but 3 members taken down for Trigger Happy.
Yeah, and one of the big things that we saw in that fight is while the Malphite does that huge initial burst of damage, she wasn't able to close any of them out, and that's where that Jinx, if the Jinx had been there from the start, could have completely cleaned up the fight. But Jinx wasn't there. It ends up being an overextension from the side of Trigger Happy, and they kind of throw away a little bit of their lead.
Yeah, absolutely. This Dragon, though, still up on the board, so you would think to see, Ishan whiffing his ultimate there a little bit.
Yeah, and with no Malphite ult now, we might see them actually come up and try to contest this Dragon, as we see Jace TPing in, and they're definitely looking to fight this Dragon now.
Yes, Dudley Brand's going to be a little late to this fight, but does have ultimate available. Dragon's still quite healthy, so lots of time for Contest to be over this objective. Gangplank ult being dropped down, doing lots of damage. Ishan now just 1v3, getting absolutely removed from Summoner's Rift. Troll the noob in 1L on the opposite side of the map, trying to take down a 2v2 situation, but this fight is split up pretty effectively. Game's in my hand, now going too deep by himself. So many health bars low at this point. Cardinal going to absolutely clean up this team fight once again, and that is a second team fight going in favor of Glacial.
Yeah, and we see Glacial Rising Phoenix. They have more of the team fight comp. They do have a lot more damage spread out on their team, especially in this mid game. But the big thing is, while they get the ace, now the gold leads back in their favor. But we still have Soul Point on the side of Trigger Happy. They were able to get the dragon, and as it was like that awkward 15-second state where it was 19 minutes and 40 seconds into the game, there was no objective immediately available for Glacial Rising Phoenix to take. But we did see them get a mid tower, and that's going to be big.
Able to take up at least one turret there. But yeah, as you said, the third Drake's, despite losing the team fight, third Drake going over into the hands of Trigger Happy. So while it seems like the state of the game has been slipping out of their hands a little bit, they will have an opportunity to pick up that Infernal Soul despite that in the next several minutes.
Yeah, they will have plenty of opportunities, I imagine, to pick up this Infernal Soul. As every dragon from here on out is going to be soul points, so you know, even if they lose one dragon or two dragons, it's still, they always have that chance for a Smite steal, for a Jinx R steal, just to get a soul. But one of the big things is Infernal Soul, when you start falling behind, isn't actually that much damage to the enemy team, especially when your team is very AD heavy, and we see Iceborne Gauntlet on Ezreal. We might end up seeing a Death's Dance or a Guardian Angel coming out for the Gangplank and the Jace, and probably Zanya's eventually for Karthus. So that damage is going to really hit a breaking point.
Yeah, and Trigger Happy doing a good job right now, keeping some vision control over this Baron objective. Gonna end up just getting out and getting mid priority. Might head back over towards his top side. Ping's now being dropped onto Skiz, but Skiz is going to push that wave back up.
Yeah, I think they might still be able to catch Jace here, but they choose not to push into the blind, not knowing where Karthus is, respecting Gangplank TP. Because they definitely could have caught him, but it might have been more than just one person. So they respectfully kind of back off, just keep their kind of vision line they have in the river. But it is starting to get cleared out as they're taking a reset here.
Trigger Happy can end up resetting. Just to touch one more time on that dragon situation we were talking about a minute ago. You were talking earlier on in the game about how Dudley Brains is able to get that Infernal Soul on the Karthus. Be absolutely massive for those ultimates. And it is definitely in a situation here where if Trigger Happy is unable to kind of grab control of the game again, this game ends up going on for 10 or 15 more minutes or 20 minutes. Could be in a situation where they're in a position to pick up that Infernal Soul. So
yeah, not even just with the soul, but you're looking at a Karthus with 2 Infernals, with 3 Infernals and his death cap coming out, and it's gonna get really scary for the side of Trigger Happy, as they are for the most part squishy. We did see Malphite kind of transition from damage to, he had built a Sunfire cape. He's probably building an Abyssal Mask, I'd wager, now with that Catalyst coming out. So we do see more of like a tank Bruiser. He's still going to do a lot of damage, but he's not going to be able to just straight one-shot anyone, I don't believe.
And now seeing Trigger Happy rotate more, focusing on this dragon side of the map, as there is just about a minute left before they get another crack at this soul. Never ended up making anything happen around that Baron, but I'm sure if they can pick up this Infernal Soul, they're not going to mind too much.
Yeah, and they get there first, so they're having the vision setup coming in first. We do see top lane. Top lane is actually in a good state for them, as long as their Jinx doesn't get caught out mid here, but she does get chunked to about half HP, 30 seconds away, so all that vision control they just got early on should be cleared out here, as we do see 2 members of Trigger Happy actually hanging around in the river, but it is all 5 here.
Placed, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely a little strange, but
Getting a little close.
yeah, cut it a little close. They're flirting with death here. as we do see, the Jinx who got chunked having to come back from base. And we see the early priority being set up here now for Glacial Rising Phoenix. However, the Scuttle Crab is still in favor of Trigger Happy, so they'll still have that vision. They'll still have that movement speed for about the first 15 to 20 seconds of Dragon Spawn.
Trigger Happy gonna start it up now. Oh, nice ult coming in from Ishan. Hit multiple members. Not enough damage coming out though, and he's just gonna end up getting dropped. Tons of damage coming through now onto the backline members of Trigger Happy, and this is looking all one-sided. Xylanda's actually forced to flash away, but ends up being a 1-for-1. But it looks like Trigger Happy's not going to get their chance back.
And the Karthus ult, finishing off one. And now with the Malphite down, with the Aatrox down, there's no way for them to really walk in here. So unless we see a miracle Lee Sin steal here, it should be going over to Glacial Rising Phoenix rather.
Infernal Dragon, #1 in the pockets of Glacial.
Yeah, and Karthus already has his death cap. So next up on the board might be a Void Staff, might be a Zanya's. It depends on how he feels. A Void Staff, I think, will do him wonders with some of the MR we see coming out from Trigger Happy. They're just going for that max penetration build on Karthus, really just trying to do the highest amount of damage he can.
And these team fights have honestly been playing out very interestingly. There's just so much damage available on both sides. One doing lots of damage at this point. That guy able to just do bursts of damage if he gets on some of these carries. Both teams have to be so careful not to put themselves the slightest bit out of position, or they're just going to end up getting deleted from the map. And that's really how these team fights are playing out.
Yeah, but one of the things we touched on too in the beginning was with the subs coming in from jungle AD. It definitely seems like there's a little bit of lack of synergy between mid and AD carry right now, because we keep seeing these nice engages from Malphite, but we don't really see any follow-up autos from Jinx. Because when we see that Malphite ult hit two to 4 people like it has been in these last couple fights, but we don't see any AoE crit autos immediately coming out, we don't really get to see that anybody getting killed. And with an Ezreal who can dash away, with the Gangplank Orange and all this utility and poke with Jace as well to come out, if you don't instantly blow them up, even if you start that objective, you get Jace EQ'd. You're going to get Ezreal poked. You have Karthus R, Gangplank R. So there's too many tools available. If you don't just blow them up, that you're going to struggle really hard in these fights.
Yeah, and more about the Karthus Rs. We've all seen as that gets later and later and later in the game, especially if they're able to pick up more of these Infernal Drags. That's really just going to be so hard to deal with, the backside damage coming through in the middle of these fights for Trigger Happy. It's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, one of the cool things we actually see, it's almost an adaptation coming out, is we see Jace, he went for that GA. Oh, as an engage from Malphite onto Ezreal here.
Yeah, Epic Veil got able to Arcane shift away, not going to end up going down. We see Skiz with the GA getting dropped pretty low, as Islandis as well. Some Jinx Rockets able to find their way onto some members of Glacial Rising Phoenix. Game's now going deep. Nice hook landing. And it looks like Trigger Happy might actually find a fight, but there's that Karthus ult we were talking about. Will it pick up members? It will end up picking up a couple, but still going to end up being a pretty even fight at the end of the day.
Yeah, we do see the numbers advantage on the side of Trigger Happy coming out of this fight. They might be able to pick up this mid tower here, as the Gangplank is a little far away, but we do see them going for Jinx getting some autos here. GP might be okay to wave clear, but he keeps putting barrels down right on top of Jinx.
Yeah, one a little far up here. Gonna end up getting hit by that and finds himself in a very bad spot.
Yeah, and we see a barrel getting hit and the Gangplank damage coming out there. So it ends up being a delayed 3 for 4 on the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix, as after the fight we just see, honestly, I guess you could call it mechanically outplaying. I'm not too sure what I would call the Jinx with their positioning there.
A little bit too far. I call the position. Yeah,
a little greedy, as we actually see a Baron coming out from the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. However, there is a ward that spots them doing this.
Yeah, Trigger Happy gonna know what's going on. Gonna see if they're gonna be able to do anything about it. Epic Veil got an absolute monster on this Ezreal. We got to see the damage coming through, so they're really gonna have to deal with that. Trying to contest this objective. May end up actually scaring them off it.
Yeah, and that's I would call that actually a pretty big win there for Trigger Happy because one dragon's coming up here in about 50 seconds. So if they move kind of immediately, they should get a whole bunch of vision control. But they didn't have their Malphite or their Jinx there, so they were missing two of their biggest threats to the enemy team, and they were still able to kind of force them off that Baron.
Yeah, definitely lucky for them that they're able to make it happen. I feel like Glacial was still a little bit nervous with Joey Desu being back in base still, not being there. Don't want to take any chances to give over the soul, so just going to end up playing around this dragon. Looks like Trigger Happy might actually get priority in the river, though.
Yeah, so we see them getting here first, setting up vision. And this is that Infernal Soul in 20 seconds. The big thing, though, is we do see top lane is kind of in a good state for Glacial Rising Phoenix up there. So there's going to be a lot of just XP and gold that Trigger Happy is going to lose. So if they're not able to get this dragon, they're also losing a lot from the top side of the map.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a very big team fight for both of these teams. If Glacial's able to fend off the soul once again, pick up another Infernal.
Yeah, we see Gangplank kind of missing his barrel combo there, so they're kind of waiting for some of his barrels to come back up. But we do see Lee Sin kind of on the flank. Oh, a good Malphite ult to start it off.
Yeah, I thought just completely taking out Skiz from this fight. Joey Desu now on the back line trying to do something 1v4, not going to end up making anything happen, and that's just clean 2 for 0. Oh, but the Carthus Soul coming in once again. Oh,
the Carthus
damage, taking out 2 kills. 3 kills now as Epic Veil Guy cleans up that one, and again, that's what we're talking about. This Carthus Soul's coming in, completely changing the tides of these fights.
Yeah, this Carthus ult's doing a lot of damage, and it's funny because we actually saw Ezreal. He tried to use E'ing backwards and he ulted backwards as well. So we didn't even get to see the Ezreal ult damage with the Carthus ult damage. But we did see, like you were saying, just a huge damage from the Carthus ult coming out onto the team there. And like I was trying to say earlier with the GA from Jace, it's actually very, very cool because what it is he's saying, after Malphite blows his combo, I'm just going to jump in and do as much damage as I can and be the front line that my team needs because we don't have one.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we see Glacial Rising trying to cut down this Baron. You'd think there's no way that Trigger Happy can contest this unless Games is able to pull off a miracle steal.
But the Jinx ult... Oh, the Jinx ult almost killed Karthus.
And he get it. Oh, steals the Baron. Ed's going to pick that up for his team. Meanwhile,
and troll the noob with the hook to get out.
Yeah, nice hook onto the Krugs there. You're not going to end up paying for it with his life. Oh, nice ult there for Ishan to take out Skiz once again. Things looking pretty solid here for Team Trigger Happy.
Yeah, and I would call that a little bit of a tilt overextension there. Glacial Rising Phoenix, they lose the Baron, and now they're like, we have to get something back. They're scrambling for some kills. But we did see this. They didn't really play the Baron right. They should have ended up backing off. They were getting too chunked, and then that Jinx rocket just came in, and nobody thought about it. And Karthus just went from half HP to like 1 health, so he had to back out of the pit. And we see Lee Sin come in with a nice smite steal when the Karthus is forced out of the pit.
Yeah, absolute amazing play here from Games in My Head. His first game as the new jungler for Trigger Happy. Unfazed.
Yeah, unfazed. Maybe the jungle and AD play together. That was some synergy with the Jinx rocket hitting the Karthus and him just going in immediately and stealing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is definitely going to be an interesting window where Trigger Happy is going to be back a little bit more in the driver's seat, see if they can make some sort of push happen with this Baron buff. Should end up timing out, I believe, before the dragon spawns, but maybe they'll be able to create some sort of priority of vision control to be able to take down the soul finally in this attempt.
I think it's, unless they get an ace coming out on the side of Trigger Happy, it's going to be really hard for them to ever close out this game because they're not killing the Ezreal in any of these team fights. And even if they kill Karthus, if they kill Karthus, for instance, they still have Gangplank wave clear. If they kill Gangplank, they still have Jace wave clear. Even Karma can kind of clear waves, so without Baron buff, Siegeing's not going to be the easiest. But they do have, Malphite ults and ways to dive towers, but if they're not massively far ahead with Baron, tower diving's going to be really hard for them. They might end up just all dying.
Yeah, and you were saying how they haven't been able to kill Epic Felgar on this Ezreal in any of these fights, and you really think, how are they going to do that? Like, even if it had to be Ishan landing the Malphite ultimate without Epic Felgar able to react in time the arcane shift. So
Gangplank was a little bit shop in there, as we see a good kick come out, and he just kind of gets picked off.
Yeah, it's going to be a free pick there for Trigger Happy. They're going to keep their eyes pushing down the bot lane. That guy able to escape a sticky situation topside at the same time. So this is definitely a prime opportunity for Trigger Happy to crack open the base.
Yeah, we see the Trigger Happy keeping their eyes on the prize here. They're looking towards these towers with Baron buff. This is a huge moment for them. If they're able to break this inhibitor tower, that's gonna be lasting. That's something they need to break open with a Baron buff, and they're able to.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're looking to take down this inhibitor as well. Oh, nice ult coming in from Ishan once again onto Xylandis, absolutely taking him out of the game. Still got able to arcane shift back to safety, but that's going to be an inhibitor. Is Games in the Head shield going to be enough? It's not going to end up matter because he's got that stasis to come through. He is now running a little bit far back, does have GA available, but he's not going to need to pop it right now.
Yeah, and the Infernal Soul's in about 45 seconds, so if we just take that deep breath after everything that happened, we still have Karma spawning in time, everyone's going to be full HP, so we have to take, what cooldowns are not going to be up for this Infernal Soul fight again, as once again it's Soul Point for Trigger Happy.
Karthus Soul won't be up.
Yeah, Karthus ult is the big one we look at, and it shouldn't be up for this
TP.
unless this fight goes long, as we do see them trying to catch out the Jinx in the jungle with the TP from Skiz, but they're not able to. Just some good play from Troll the Noob coming out. And we do see them get that Scuttle Crab, so they also get the the bonus movement speed there. But like you say, yeah, no Karthus ult. Unless this fight goes, another 50 seconds, he won't have it for this fight.
And GA is available on 1, so but the fight breaking out though too quickly. Ishan going in once again, definitely staying alive now. He's got some of those tanky items. Does end up falling eventually. Not actually going to end up taking any members of Glacial with him, so that's really not what they needed. But it doesn't end up mattering at all because they did finally achieve. It's
actually a really good play from Eshan there, as it does look a little trolled, and that's one of those we see where he doesn't have the follow-up damage, nobody dies, but he just does that to keep the entire team off of Dragon, because his whole team just nukes the Dragon while they're all zoned by Malphite R. So we do see the Infernal Soul on the side of Trigger Happy.
Yeah, my head trying to get something done, but
as Lee Sin goes in, and we won't call it Lee Syndrome, he just looks for a nice little play. Nobody really dies or gets chunked, just
trying to make
trading love taps,
Looking for it.
And we'll have Baron coming up in about a minute, but we do have that Infernal Soul on the side. As Karthus almost gets caught out, and now he won't have Flash for this Baron fight, as he just takes a greedy path through his jungle.
Yeah, that was pretty risky. Glacial's one wrong move away from losing this game. They've made a couple mistakes, especially around that Baron earlier. Puts them in this situation where they look like they had a pretty good chance to take on this game earlier, but now it's looking like it's going to be a little bit more difficult, as you're saying. The second Baron's coming up, and priority is completely in the favor of Trigger Happy.
Yeah, and this second Baron is really make or break. If this Baron just goes over to Trigger Happy, I don't see a way for Glacial Rising Phoenix to actually hold in their base this time. Obviously, we still have Karthus insane damage, and diving into a Karthus might be a problem, but if they just wait out Karthus passive, they should be fine to close out the game if they're actually able to get this Baron. And with no flash on Karthus, he has no foreseeable way into this pit.
Glacial trying to come, but Trigger Happy just burning this Baron down. The Ezreal is not going to be enough. You see Ishan trying to buy some time again. Ends up not taking anybody with him again, but Karthus not going to take... Oh, Karthus actually so close to taking down Games. The DOT not quite going to be enough, but Skiz now catching up to the members of Team Trigger Happy, dropping that Guardian Angel, but Xylandis now also looking to drop. Trigger Happy going deep. That guy doing all kinds of damage on this backline, trying to get onto Epic Fail guy, but the Arcane Shift comes through once again, trying to keep running.
That's going to be the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's so many members down. Baron taken. Death timer's 40 seconds.
Unless Ezreal's able to make some plays here, if they just all die trying to chase him, because they have minions in that bot side base here, and it's a pretty big numbers advantage, like you're saying. And Troll the Noob is able to stop the Gangplank, so we got a 3v1 over here against Ezreal with Baron minions. And Trigger Happy's looking to get some revenge, They losing to Glacial Rising Phoenix in the first half is what stopped them from being the 7-5 team.
Yeah, this is easily going to be the Nexus. The question is, will they get that kill on the Xylandis before I will not do it,
Hey.
but I'm sure they're okay with it.
And to answer your question of how do they kill Ezreal, they don't. They just they just kill his team and win the game. This epic fail guy still didn't die. That aside from that
Absolutely.
one death in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing with Ezreal. It's so hard to get on him. But I mean, really, the question is maybe Glacial Rising Phoenix should have just once the Baron was taken down, let them recall. There's no reason to try to force that fight, which it seemed like it almost was a forced fight and ended up not working out for him. But at the end of the day, Trigger Happy doing a great job coming back into this game.
Yeah, and that Malphite really did a lot. His score doesn't necessarily reflect how impactful he was, even with like almost the highest KP on his team. Actually, he had equal to the ADC and to Jinx and Thresh there. But we just saw, at Dragon fights, the Soul fight, he's zoning out an entire team with his death that doesn't actually get him any kills or assists, but they get the Soul. And we just saw time and time again, him hitting 3-man ults, 2-man ults on Ezreal and Karthus, as Ezreal just wasn't able to dash the Malphite ult.
Yeah, I mean, just honestly, super well and cool and collected game from Trigger Happy. They did definitely make some mistakes in the mid game. You were talking about how there's a little bit of uncoordination between during some of the plays between the mid and AD and such stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is a big win for them. They did a great job of doing this, and it's going to put them in a great spot as they move towards the last week of the season to make playoffs.
Yes, definitely. And we definitely see like tough schedules coming out because both these teams still have to play NG Blossom. Glacial Rising Phoenix still has Kisses for Cats. But as long as they're able to pick up the win, I believe it's next week against Julia Duck, they should be fine to make playoffs.
So we are joined here with the man himself, the mid laner for Trigger Happy, Ishan. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How do you feel after this big win, man?
Man, we've had a few rough weeks for the past few weeks, so it was really good getting this win. It was against a tough opponent, and we had a really, really tough game, so it was really, really good to get this win. The whole team was really happy about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that?
No, go ahead.
Oh,
I didn't say anything.
I was going to touch on a little bit also of the new roster look that you guys brought out today. Got some word that Ishan was making some moves here down the stretch of the split. Do you have anything to say about your new jungler and your AD?
I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to play with them. As you can see, they perform and they do their job, which is all I can really ask for. And as long as everyone does their job, I mean, I think we're going to look forward to some more wins.
Man, you sound really happy. Good for you. It was a really good game. The Malphite was it a specific counter pick, or did you just feel like playing the first
we've seen
engage?
their comp and we really needed to engage. We were looking for the hard engage, and I was like, yeah, it's a pick I've always had in my back pocket that I always really, really like playing because it's so flexible. And then we had a good opportunity to pick it because I was last pick, so then we just took it and it managed to play dividends.
Yeah, it did, and you did a really good job in that early to mid game of punishing the Jace when he was flashless. And you hit some big Malphite ults. When you hit those Malphite ults, right? Do you give your team any warning, or is it just like I'm going and you press R?
Usually, the way it works is right before I'll do any play is I'll get the confirmation okay, I'm looking, but the looking is after I say I'm looking, if I see it, I do it, and if you don't follow up, that's your fault, and we look over that in review. But if everyone has the call to go in and then the play is made to go in and people don't follow, you got to be decisive. That's the number one key in League of Legends. So if I see an engage where I can hit Ezreal, Karma, and Karthus, there's no way I'm not doing that.
Oh yes, for sure. And tomorrow you guys have to play NG Blossom. Do you think you're going to be the first to hand them their loss?
I think we were really close. Actually, the first time our first game was against them, and they barely beat us by stealing Dragon Soul. And they beat us after, so I think it's going to be a very, 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 very good game. Everyone should tune in tomorrow, but I ain't going to lie, we're looking for the win. We're hungry.
You guys definitely sound it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, appreciate you joining us. Congratulations on the win, and good luck heading towards playoffs.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Have a good day, man.
Too. All right, that is going to do it for game 2 of the day. What an absolutely entertaining game. We're going to take a short break here, and we will be back with